Uttaji, you're traveling.
Going home.
Going home. Okay. Okay.
On the way.
Okay. Stilaji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Cold has started. Yeah.
Cold weather, yeah. Bangalore is still moderate weather, but cool.
Yeah. Here it is,
Very cold, I think. Yeah.
Very cold. Hare Krishna, Kamaji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. How are you, Kamaji?
Yes,
fine.
yes, fine.
Going,
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah,
okay.
going on.
Going on. Okay.
Yes, we had some guests today. Yes, so it was good. Feeling good.
Guests are here still, or
No,
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 they are
left,
gone.
left.
Yes.
you send them away?
No.
Okay. Prabhupada says very nicely, disease and unwanted guests. How to take them out from your house? If you don't give them food, they'll go automatically.
No, fortunately, they were his niece
No,
from
never.
come
Usually-
for some marriage, so they wanted to see us.
Sometimes guests come without any notice. So it's like that. Disease also comes without any notice.
Yes.
Correct.
You don't feed them food, they'll go away. One nice story Prabhupada says. This story is called Praharena Dhananjaya. Recently hearing one talk Prabhupada's conversation. So once there was 5 son-in-laws, okay, who were all settled in father-in-law's place. So father-in-law, anyway, of course, daughters are there. So 5 son-in-laws are also settled. Nice food, accommodation, everything is nice. So father-in-law thought, what is this? My daughters are supposed to, go out with their son-in-laws and settle their houses. They are made my house as their settlement. So what he did, next day, he, in the food, he reduced, some masala. So one son-in-law thought, what is this? This insult. Not putting proper masala in the food. So he left with his wife. And the next day, one more item was reduced in the food. Like, salt was reduced. Like this, everybody was feeling very insulted and left. There was one last one who was not leaving at all. He was sticking on to the, whatever it is, free food we are getting, free accommodation we are getting. So other 4 got together and started hitting him and telling him, what are you doing? Don't have shame. Prahara means like, they started hitting him. And then they driven him out. So like this, Prabhupada says, when you don't have proper treatment and you're insulted, means you don't stay there.
And food is the big attraction.
Yes. Free food, free accommodation means you'll stay for more time. And let's start our session, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5. So before we begin, let's offer our prayers to Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Vrindavan Chandra ki jai. Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanande. Okay, so dear Krishna Prabhu and Mataji, welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so let's revise and review until
Ananda
Hare Krishna, until the verses 15, what we have studied in this chapter 5. Chapter 5 is called Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So basically in this chapter, Krishna is given to give us the practical aspects of having the background devotional understanding and how to act in that devotional understanding, right? So our actions cannot be whimsical. That's what Krishna wants to say in this chapter. So Arjuna began with a question with all the different understanding he had gathered in the previous chapters. So his question was, what is better? Work in devotion or renunciation of work? Right? So Krishna answers this question, telling that yes, both are good, but Krishna says that work in devotion he prefers, right? Is better than renunciation of work. Why? Because working in devotion is easier and superior compared to working, rather renunciation of works. The renunciation of works requires some background knowledge and a proper level of purification, which is not practical for this Kali Yuga. Krishna, in fact, he makes a comparison, telling that yes, sannyasa or work in renunciation of work or work in devotion, that is, both are actually having the same end in one sense. One is actually renunciation of work is basically to research what is the root of everything, and work in devotion is watering the root. So both are in one sense. One is actually detachment. One is detachment from matter. One is attachment to Krishna. So Krishna explained all these aspects, and he was stressing on the aspect of work in devotion, which is actually Krishna consciousness. Now, Krishna also explained how to perform this action in Krishna consciousness, or rather, how to connect yourself in this Krishna consciousness way of life. So, Krishna was telling that he knows the devotee who is acting in Krishna consciousness knows that he is not this body, he is pure spirit soul. So in that way, he works in a way that his actions are not having the normal course how people perform with attachment. He works in a detached manner, which means he is not attached to the fruits of action. And this was the main point we discussed in the last session. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karotya lipyate nasa papen. Verse number 10. Right? Krishna very clearly mentioned that he acts in a way that he is not attached to the fruits of the results. He is working in a way that he is detached from the fruits, right? And he is engaging all his mind, body, intelligence, his senses, everything only for this purpose, nothing else. Krishna is stressing on the point of detached way of working, right? So detached way of working basically means you're not attached to the fruits of active actions, because the fruits of actions are going to entangle us. And having said this much, Krishna gave a comparison in verse number 12, telling how the person who is acting in Krishna consciousness, he is offering all results to Krishna, so he's having that peace of mind. He attains unadulterated peace, Krishna says. And one who is attached to results and who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, Krishna says, he becomes entangled. It means he's always doing calculations, as Prabhupada says. He's always, material calculations he's doing. So his profit calculation of what I'll get, how I'll enjoy is not going to give you any peace of mind. Whereas offering all things to Krishna, you're having that happiness and peace of mind, right? So having said this much, Krishna said, in every action, there are three role players, right? Which we discussed in our previous session, that there are three role players: the soul, Jivatma, and the material nature, Prakriti, and super soul. How are they interconnected? And what actually happens is what Krishna explains in verses 13, 14, and 15. Right? Generally, conditioned soul thinks that he is acting. Krishna explains this in 3rd chapter as ahankara vimudhatma kartahamiti manyate. Right? So, conditioned soul thinks that because of him, actions are happening. But it is not the fact. There is one more phenomena happening in the material world. So Krishna explains that right now, the living entity, Jivatma, is identifying itself with the body and thinking that I am the body. So this type of a misconception it is carrying. So Prabhupada very clearly says that unless this misconception is changed and he starts deliberating that I am not the body and spirit soul, Prabhupada says, his deliberations have to be changed. Then he understands that I am spirit soul. Then automatically that levels, this whole concept of Jivatma, Prakriti and Paramatma, Krishna is explaining to give us the sense of understanding why things have to be detached. So when you understand that I am not the body, body means the senses. So what is the need of satisfying the body if you are not the body? Right? That is the point. If you know that I am not the car, if you nicely care for the car and you do whatever required for the car, how it will matter? That's the point. This is the first level of detach. This is the sense. This will give a sense of detachment. So you have to become detached from material activities. That's the whole idea. Now, when Krishna says next point, that even when you say you are acting, you are not acting. There is the material nature, Krishna's material nature, which is actually activated by Krishna's order, right? So, and this material nature, you have no control. You have no control at all. And it is all in a particular way under laws of Krishna, laws of nature. It is all working based on Krishna's order. Karmana daiva netrin, right? So, in that way, you having a sense of feeling that I am doing things, other material nature is working under my direction is also not correct. So this also gives you a sense of detachment. Right? Prabhupada was very nicely explaining how you are simply in the midst of material ocean and we are tossed by the ocean's waves, right? And I have no control over them. But I falsely think I have control. Just with our own life, you see, we are going through our life journey of old age, disease. What control you have? You don't have any control, right? So this is one more deliberation which will give you a sense of detachment, because Krishna stressed on how to work, how to act in Krishna consciousness. Action should be with a sense of detachment from the fruits of action, right? So first point is that I am not the body, I am spirit soul. This self will give you a sense of detachment. Why should I work for the body? Right? Why should I satisfy my senses? Next is, if the material phenomena is I am able to control, right? Then Prabhupada says very nicely, he is neither the proprietor nor the controller of his actions, reactions. Right? He appears to be master of it. He looks like he's in control of things, but he's not in control of things. Anytime, anything can happen. That's how the material nature is, material world is. Suddenly, the weather changes. How in Chennai we saw, in some parts of Andhra, cyclone was there. Suddenly, we don't have any control of things, material nature. Right? Many laws of karma are acting. And thirdly, Krishna says, super soul of course, sanctions, right? But this sanction is based on the soul's desire and deserving capacity. The soul starts or initiates by desiring. And whatever, based on his karma, whatever he deserves, Lord sanctions. So in one sense, the living entity is responsible for our actions and reactions. To summarize what we discussed in the last three verses, that is 13, 14, 15, very important. The soul has the capability of desiring, and the Lord does not interfere with this activity of soul's desiring. Lord is the only personality who respects your desiring capability or your desires. Your free will, he respects the most. Very important point we have to understand. And the sanction which the Lord gives is based on the soul's deserving ability, based on the karma he has acquired. Right? In one sense, the Lord is only choreographing, right, through the material nature, how the activities have to be done. But that choreography is done by Lord's direction, Lord is the director. But the action with regard to the way it has to be performed, the soul's desire is deciding. That's the point. So, what is the role of nature, material nature? Swabhava, Prakriti. This only is carrying out the actions based on the living entity's different desires. It gives different body. It gives, it initiates some actions based on the different desires, different bodies. And just like Prabhupada says, you have a dog's body. Dog's body means it has to act in a particular way. It has to desire in a particular way. It has to perform actions in a particular way, right? So like this, all this is, basically orchestrated by the modes of nature under the direction of Krishna. Because Krishna has made the material nature to work in a specific function, specific way. So, in one sense, the living entity is only desiring. So, Krishna very clearly explains that super soul is not responsible for any of the actions, right? Because the actions are all, the way one has to act is desired by the living entity. The living entity is actually responsible for all the good and bad actions, and thus also responsible for the consequences, reactions. Short Krishna explained in 15th verse. Right? I am not responsible for pious actions or sinful actions. Living entity is responsible because he has initiated the whole, desires. So in one sense, the super soul is the ultimate controller in the sense that he is only facilitating the living entity's desires, right? And the material nature is working as the agent of the Lord to facilitate the desires of the living entity. So this is the whole way things are happening. But in the conditioned stage, a living entity thinks that I am the doer, right? He is only doer in sense of desiring. Rest everything, Lord's wonderful phenomena, acts, right? That's what is going on right now. So what is the benefit of understanding this whole mechanism, whole phenomena, is that we appreciate the position of Krishna, which means Krishna is actually waiting for us to take up devotional service. So this comes to the point of the verse 16 from today what we're going to discuss, verse 16. See, all this is happening. Why? Because the living entity is in Ajnana. Krishna explained in 15th verse. Agnenavrutam, Agnanenavrutam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. The living entity, because he is covered by ignorance, he is bewildered. His real knowledge is covered. What is real knowledge? That I am spirit soul, I am subservient to Krishna, and my whole desiring ability should be to serve Krishna. Right? Actually, when the living entity starts desiring to serve Krishna, then his real soul's abilities will awaken. And when the soul abilities awaken, material activities, material phenomena start ceasing. That's what happened with Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was not eating, was not sleeping, was not like anything what we do. He was 24 hours chanting. How? Because he was acting on the soul platform. His actions were on the soul platform. Soul doesn't want eating, sleeping. Even Parikshit Maharaj, for 7 continuous days, how he was able to hear Bhagavatam from Shukadeva Goswami without hunger, without thirst. Bhagavatam explains why. Because his Shravanam, his devotional activity of Shravanam was happening on the soul platform. On the spiritual platform, you don't need food, ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithuna. That's why the Goswami's prayers, it is mentioned, nidrahara viharakadi vijitau. When the person is awakened on the spiritual platform, he doesn't bother about material necessities. That's the point. So for him, nidra, ahara, vihara all becomes not very important. That's the point. Whereas in an ordinary sense, a person who doesn't eat properly, doesn't sleep properly, his mechanism of the body will start giving trouble to him. A person on the spiritual platform is awakened in that level. He has no consideration of all these aspects. That's the point. So right now our real knowledge is covered by ignorance. Ajnanen avrutam jnanam. And because of which we are tena muhyanti jantava. We are all bewildered and we are acting like any other animal, any other jantu, living entity. So Krishna is advising here the understanding of this knowledge, how the whole mechanism of Jivatma, Prakriti and Paramatma is working, will help us to come to the platform of Jnanena. Now, verse number 16 is talking about Jnanena tudat ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityava jnanam prakasheti tatparam. Very wonderful understanding. So, what is the state of perfect knowledge? What happens when a living entity is awakened to the level of knowledge? Right? So, Krishna explains basically that when you come to the proper understanding of knowledge, in the later chapter, 7th chapter, Krishna explains that you will surrender to Krishna. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. When you come to the proper platform of knowledge, you surrender to Krishna. That's what is going to happen. And further, Krishna is going to explain in the later part of this chapter that coming to this platform means you have attained complete enlightenment, full enlightenment, peace and happiness. And finally, you are liberated from this world. And how this knowledge acts, Krishna gives an example here. Aditya. Aditya is the sun. Just like the sun, once it is risen, what happens? It lights up everything in the daytime. Anything what is not seen is all revealed. The sun lights up and reveals everything in the daytime. Right? So rising of sun is basically the knowledge awakening. The whole process of Krishna consciousness is knowledge awakening. So that the knowledge will destroy the nescience or the ignorance what we have, ajnana what we have. That's what Krishna says. When knowledge is risen in our heart, it is going to jnanam tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam. Ajnana nasha happens, right? And everything is revealed to you. In darkness, you can't see yourself and anything around you. Whereas once there is light, you see yourself and everything around you. That's what happens. So, Prabhupada very nicely explains that first and foremost, the qualification of this transcendental knowledge of the factual reality is that this is going to remove all bewilderment in our heart. This is what Krishna explained. Muhyanti, right? You are bewildered. Bewildered means you are not knowing what to do. You don't know what are the facts. You are in illusion. Right? So this knowledge will take away the bewilderment or the confusion or the ignorance what we have. And that perfect knowledge is that you surrender to Krishna, which is actually your real knowledge. Ajnana means you think, why, I'm independent. I have nothing to do with Krishna. Whereas proper knowledge or real knowledge means bahunam janmanam ante jnanaman ma prapadyate. Right? So first aspect of this knowledge is that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. And Prabhupada further explains in the purport very nicely that to know that one can never become God, I am always subordinate to God. Right? So this is a very important revelation Prabhupada is making, because there are transcendentalists who misunderstand, or rather they are having misconception that once you are in platform of knowledge, you become one with God. The Mayavadis, impersonalists, they interpret like that. Whereas the proper platform of knowledge is that you are always subordinate to God. You can never become one with God. Right? So Prabhupada explains in the last sentence of this purport, identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. Identity with individuality is real knowledge. Krishna explained this in the second chapter, 12th verse. Right? Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipa. Right? He said, Arjuna, you, me, and all the various kings who are assembled here, they were individuals in the past, they are individuals now, they will continue to be individuals in the future. Which means, not that once you are liberated, you will merge together, you will become homogeneous substance. No. We remain as individuals eternally. Right? Mamaivamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Very important revelation Krishna is making in the Bhagavad Gita, which the impersonalists or the Mayavadis take it other way. They think we merge finally. Liberation means we merge. Krishna never says that. We maintain individuality. Liberation basically means you liberate from this identity as a body and you liberate and reinstate yourself as spirit soul, eternally serving Krishna. You will not lose individuality. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge process. So this bewilderment is acting in terms of identifying ourselves with matter, first thing, and secondly, to think oneself as God. Right? This is, Prabhupada says, this is the last snare of Maya. Last snare of Maya means Maya is bewildering you in so many ways. You're the body, everything around your body is yours. And finally, when everything is frustrated, you think, I am God. Prabhupada uses this very nice, phrase called last snare of Maya. Maya attacks like this, finally. So, how to get real knowledge? Prabhupada explains, as Krishna already explained in Bhagavad Gita, you have to approach a bona fide spiritual master. Tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Approach a bona fide spiritual master and submissively surrender to him, inquire from him in a very, very nice way, so that he will give you the teachings of real understanding. And Prabhupada also says, who is this bona fide spiritual master? In this whole purport, he says, is that person who doesn't claim that he is God. Although he is paid all respect at the same level as God, because he has knowledge of God. Every day morning we sing the Mangalarati. Sakshat dharitvena samasta shastrair. Uktas tatha bhavyata eva sarvi. So, he is a confidential servitor of God. He is respected as God only. Right? That is the point. So, we have to get this transcendental knowledge by the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master. And bona fide spiritual master's mercy you are relieved from the bewilderment of ajnana, which is going on life after life. I am this body and things around me is everything. We are all working day and night, life after life, going on, journey going on. This awakening has to happen. When knowledge awakens, then it is awakened like how the sun rises early in the morning and all the darkness is removed. Right? So, having said this much, now Krishna is going to tell one who is awakened this way, how does he act? So from verse 17 onwards, mostly up to the end of this chapter, we'll see the the description of a person in this liberated consciousness, or a self-realized person's various symptoms are explained. And just like in the second chapter also, Arjuna was asking questions about Sthita Prajna, right? Sthita Prajna. So Krishna answered the symptoms of Sthita Prajna. How does he sit? How does he walk? How does he speak? Right? What is his behavior? All like that, So Bhagavad Gita, I find many such sections in many contexts, wherein the symptoms of a self-realized person is explained. So it's not that somebody can say, I am advanced, I am realized, I am liberated, but the symptoms should be matching. The symptom should be manifested in that person. Then we can understand, oh, this is a real self-realized person. So we can take a very nice parallel in Prabhupada's life for all the various descriptions, what we're going to see from verse 17 onwards, and how we see Prabhupada was a personification of all those various wonderful qualities of a self-realized personality. Right? So let's start with verse number 17. Tad buddhaya tadatmana tannishtha tatparayanaha gachanti apunaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. So your knowledge is awakened now. Real knowledge means the knowledge of the soul is awakened. Sachidananda, the chit aspect is awakened. Right now it was covered by ajnana. And ignorance was covering it. But it is awakened now. Then that is awakened, what happens? Your real intelligence. One's intelligence, one's mind, tad buddhaya tad atmana, one's mind, one's faith, nishtha, and one's refuge. Prabhupada nicely using these 4 words. All these things are completely dedicated for Krishna's service. And because of himself engaging his mind, body, intelligence, he is dependent on Krishna for everything. He is relieved from all misgivings, all anarthas, right? Jnana nirdhuta kalmasha, because he is awakened in knowledge, and he is moving forward in the path of liberation. Right? So this is what Krishna is explaining here. So basically, through this verse, Prabhupada is trying to explain to us that one who has come to this platform of pure understanding, pure knowledge, he becomes fixed up in the service of Krishna. That's what is being explained here. His intelligence, his mind, right? All the soul faculties are awakened. His faith, right? His dependence. Parayana means his dependence. He's not dependent on any other thing other than Krishna. His only refuge is Krishna. So that is what happens. So Prabhupada is explaining the symptoms of a person in this consciousness, right? Basically, he knows Krishna is the supreme truth, supreme transcendental truth, Parama Satya, right? Entire Bhagavad Gita is only talking about this. But Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, right? So the conclusion of what is the purpose of life, or what is the ultimate knowledge which I am supposed to be having, is what a person who is self-realized is having. Right? There's a nice statement in Bhagavatam also. Vasudeva Paraveda Vasudeva Paramakaha is a nice verses like that. Which means Vasudeva is everything. Krishna is everything. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Right? So this understanding a devotee comes to. And Prabhupada also used the word Paratattva. Paratattva means the supreme reality. And supreme reality is what? He is the source of everything. He is everything. Whatever different manifestations of absolute truth are there, as Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan, is Krishna only. They are not independent, they are not separate. In fact, in the next chapter we'll see, Krishna explains even Devatas are his part and parcels. But less intelligent people think they are separate. Right? Devatas are also his part and parcel. And anybody coming to Devatas to worship them, the faith which the worshippers develop on Devatas, Krishna only is giving as Paramatma. And the different benedictions which the Devatas give, Krishna only has to sanction. See, how is everything dependent on Krishna? Everything is resting on Krishna. Everything depends on Krishna. Krishna means everything, Prabhupada says, in one context. Right? That's the understanding which the pure devotee has. So Krishna also, further Prabhupada is giving some different references from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Mattaha parataram nanyat. Right? There is no superior truth than me. So this realization has dawned upon this self-realized personality. Means there's no, we see in the next chapter, 7th chapter, Krishna explains this. There's no true superior, there is nothing beyond me. I am that truth which everything rests on me, Krishna says. In the 14th chapter, Krishna says, even that Brahma Jyoti, what you think is separate, no, it is also an emanation of light from my body. It's effulgence from my body. Brahmano hi pratishtaham, Krishna says. So, in that way, the self-realized personality is fixing his mind, intelligence, faith, and his complete dependence on Krishna. In that way, all his misgivings, otherwise generally a person has with regard to misgivings, means he thinks something else is important, or something else I have to put my faith, something else I have to focus, my mind should be going there, my intelligence should be going here. Right? So all these things, a person who is having this misconceptions and misunderstandings is going through. Whereas the person who is fixed up in this way, his misgivings, anarthas are all removed. Right? Kalmasha is removed. So he has perfect understanding that Krishna is everything. So there is, he also understands that Krishna is simultaneously one and different. Prabhupada is using this particular statement here. He knows Krishna means simultaneous identity and individuality. Very important, concept which Prabhupada also ended in the last purport. Identity with individuality in spiritual life is real knowledge. Identity, individuality, right? Which means we are individuals and we have separate identity. We are not at one homogeneous substance. No. Brahman, yes, we are all individual particles of spirit, having all personal features. That's the point. So this is the understanding. And in this understanding, see, when you have a proper conception or understanding, what will be your perception? Now Krishna explains the perception. Conception, perception, then action. Right? I'll give an example. If you have a clear, if your conception about, say, rose flower, you think, oh, it's a nice rose flower for my enjoyment. This is the conception you have. So you perceive the rose flower as object of your enjoyment. Whenever you see the rose flower, you want to see how we can enjoy that flower. And your action will be, I get a rose flower, I'll try to see and I'll want to smell it for myself. I want to keep it for my enjoyment. Action. So conception, perception, and action, they're all interrelated. So the conception level you have to change. Everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna is the proprietor of everything. The perception, seeing, when you see, perceive means when you see things, you see from that conception. And when you see from that conception, you also act in that way with objects and with people. Because when you are acting or interacting, you have objects, you have people, and there are situations, there are events. How do you act in various aspects? That's the point. So like this, Krishna is getting into a very wonderful understanding of various aspects of our life, what life we are living right now. So with this, what is the perception? Perception is, Krishna says in 18th verse, Samadarshanaha. This is called, Prabhupada is very nicely using the word, it is equal vision. What is our vision now? Our vision is Veda Darshana, difference. Right? We see everything as different, or everything is not connected with Krishna. Samadarshana means everything is connected to Krishna. Right? You see varieties, but all of them have connection to Krishna. So we'll understand more with an example. Prabhupada Sri Krishna is telling, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapa Kecha Pandita Samadarshina. So Krishna is telling, Pandita Samadarshina, this liberated self-realized soul, he can see everything and everyone equally. Whereas in our case, we see somebody as rich, somebody as poor, somebody intelligent, somebody dull. The whole perception with what we see, right? With what conception, what we perceive things. As soon as we see, oh, he's a dumb man. Oh, he's like that. He's an anger person. He's that. This, the way we see, right? Whereas, what is Krishna's conception and perception about us? What is self-realized person's conception and perception? That's the point. So, self-realized soul can see everything and everyone equally. How? By virtue of, Prabhupada says, virtue of true knowledge. Which knowledge? Which just now we explained, we understood. The knowledge which is relieved him from all bewilderment that I am not the body, I am always subordinate to Krishna, this knowledge. Right? Virtue of true knowledge, he is having this equal vision of seeing everything and everyone from the spiritual perspective. The spiritual perspective is called Samadarshana. Right? Materially, always there will be distinction and discrimination. Right? Material means differences. Right? Whereas this communism is a attempt to come to spiritual platform, but there is no Krishna there in the center. That's the problem. Right? Prabhupada says, if you bring Krishna in the center, in communism, perfect it is. That's what Bhagavatam explains, spiritual communism. Whereas material communism is imperfect. Why? Because there is no Krishna in the center. That's the problem. So here, Krishna is explaining the perception of a person, how he's seeing everything in a very spiritual way. And Krishna is giving example of different personalities. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmana means a very learned and a very humble, rather very gentle Brahmana. Generally, a person who is very learned is, we see person who is learned can be very proud also. Right? Vidya should bring you Vinaya. The learning should bring you humility and gentleness. Not that learning should bring you pride, arrogance. That's what is happening nowadays. People think I am so educated. Oh, I can do anything. Vidya is bringing garva. That is wrong. Right? Vidya is bringing arrogance and feeling that I know everything. Right? So Krishna later on explains about this. Their knowledge is taken away by Maya. Who's like that very demoniac way of life. So Vidya should bring you, real knowledge should bring you humility or gentleness. So a person who is a very qualified Brahmana with the learning and gentleness, a cow, Brahmane Gavi, Hastini, elephant, a dog, Shuni, Shapake, a dog eater. From material perspective, all of them are of different species of life. Right? A human, learned human, and you can say civilized human, a dog, a elephant, a cow, and an outcast, a Chandala. who is very uncivilized. So there is definitely material differentiation in all these things, in all these various personalities. But whereas Krishna is telling a spiritualist, a person who has developed proper knowledge, true knowledge, he sees them with equal vision. What is equal vision? Prabhupada very nicely explains. Spiritual equality of living entities as spirit soul. He is not seeing the external covering. He is seeing them as spirit souls, part and parcel of Krishna. That is the equality. They're all taken different forms, different various dresses they are wearing, just like I'm wearing one dress, you are wearing one dress. Right? But internally, we are all spirit souls. Likewise, he sees every entity in this material world, whatever species of life it is, has different dresses only, but all of them are actually spirit souls. That sameness he sees. The spiritual quality of all living entities he sees. Right? So, and the Lord also is not having any discrimination. Lord is present equally as Paramatma in a dog's body, in an elephant's body, in a Chandala's body, or a Brahmana's body, or insect body, or whatever species of life it is. Krishna says, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya. I am the father of all living entities, and I am present as Paramatma in everybody. All living entities, Krishna says. So whatever circumstance, whatever situation the living entity is having, Lord is seated as Paramatma there. That is the sameness. First is the spiritual quality of a spirit soul in everybody, and Lord's wonderful aspect of Paramatma, super soul, in every living entity, in whatever situation the living entity is. And as I told you, the living entities have taken different bodies. Why? Because they have desired like that. And Krishna, through the agency of material nature, is facilitating the desire of the living entity. You desire to serve Krishna. Krishna will, what he'll give? He'll give you a spiritual body. Revive your spiritual body. That spiritual body is right now covered. And different other dresses you are wearing now. Just like I was giving an example of a drama last time. In drama, you may be, a king or some other person. And every time that role changes, you have to change your dress also. But you as a person is somebody different. Likewise, we have been changing our dresses life after life. Man, woman, devata, insect, animal, so many dresses, roles we are playing. But actually our real role is what? Real entity is what? Jivera Swarupa Nitya Krishna Dasa. That role, if you can awaken in this life and lead our life in that way, that is our perfection. That's the point. So, with regard to one important aspect, the impersonalists, Prabhupada is pointing out in the purport, this similarity of quality of the soul and super soul does not make them equal in quantity. Right? Whereas just like a drop of ocean water is qualitatively same as whole ocean water. It doesn't mean that ocean water is same as a drop of ocean water. No. Ocean water qualitatively are same, but quantitatively they are different. Krishna explained this in 15th verse. We are Anu, Krishna is Vibhu. Vibhu means he is unlimited, whereas we are small. We are infinitesimal. And one more difference which Krishna is going to explain. I've been explaining here and there, but again, very clearly in 13 chapters, he's going to explain. We are only limited to our body. I know all is going on in my body to some extent. Whereas Krishna is not only in my body, in everybody's body, and he knows everything in everybody. Kshetrajnam chapi sarveshu, Krishna says. He's as a Kshetrajna, he's a supreme, super knower he knows everything. That is the difference. So qualitatively we are same, but quantitatively we are different. That's the point. That is the perfect vision. This is the vision which a person who is self-realized, a liberated self-realized soul has. Now, coming to the verse number 19. Krishna says, what is the benefit of having this conception? Ihaiva jitas sargo yesham samye sitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. So, the symptom is that this samye sitam manaha. Samye sitam manaha means the quality of equanimity and sameness. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity. What sameness and equality? The spiritual sameness and equanimity. We are all spirit souls. Super soul is there in every situation, regardless of whatever circumstances we are in. Every living entity, super soul is accompanying. And super soul is always superior. This particular spiritual vision. Right? So Krishna says, one who is having this particular vision, this conception, he is already conquered the conditions of birth and death. Jitas sargo. Sargaha means repeated birth and death. He has conquered, he becomes victorious, even in this life. Right? And furthermore, symptoms Krishna is explaining, they are flawless. Nirdosham. He samam brahma. Like Krishna, they are also flawless, which means they are not having any defects like how conditioned souls have. So such a person is situated in Brahman. He is a self-realized soul. That's what Krishna wants to say. Brahman situated, Brahma Bhuta. Right? So very nicely, Prabhupada explains these various aspects. As long as you are identifying yourself with the body, what happens? One is called a Jiva Bhuta, a conditioned soul. But as soon as your real knowledge has awakened, you have awakened your spiritual understanding properly. You come to this Samye Sitam Manah, the Samadarshana you have got, realization that I am not this body and spirit soul, and seeing in that perception, in that conception, then he is actually Brahma Bhuta. Krishna Prabhupada explains. So, Brahma Bhuta means you are not subjected to repeated birth and death. This body is subjected. Like Narada Muni. He's called Brahma Rishi. So, Deva Rishi, sorry. So, basically, Narada Muni is a liberated soul. He's always he's present in that. He can go anywhere, he can travel anywhere, and he can always be present in either spiritual world, material world. That's what happens with a Brahma Bhuta or a liberated personality. Right? Whereas we are conditioned. Conditioned means specific body in a specific place for a specific number of years. You have to be there. Again, take one more body like this. Our conditioning is going on. Right? So this is the point. So there is no birth and death for a person who is actually liberated. He's already, in one sense, liberated, but once this body is over, he'll get the spiritual existence. Prabhupada is a liberated soul. His body was just again, that body also has become spiritualized. That's why we have done Samadhi for Prabhupada. All pure devotees' bodies are spiritual. So whereas once he has left this body, he has again entered the Nitya Leela Pravishta, which means he has entered into the eternal pastimes of Krishna. And further, Krishna says that these living entities, these self-realized souls are flawless. For this, Prabhupada explains the flaw or the defect in the conditioned soul is having raga dvesha. Right? It's what Krishna explains in the third verse of this chapter. Right? Third verse already say that dveshti, yona dveshti na kankshati, dvesha akanksha, which means the hatred and attraction. Two things. You're attracted to things what is going to satisfy you, and you are envying or you hate something which you don't like. But it's hatred and attraction. So whereas with Krishna and pure devotees, there is no such aspect as hatred and attraction. They are always transcendental. A very nice pastime of Krishna with regard to how Krishna is beyond his hatred attraction is with regard to Putana. Putana, she came and very nicely Bhagavatam explains, Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam. This Putana was the sister of Bakasura. So she's known as Baki. So Bakasura, Aghasura were brothers of Putana. So this Putana, she came with a deadly poison, Kala Kutam, deadly poison smeared on her breasts. So she can feed Krishna milk and kill him within no time. She was under the impression that Krishna is a small boy, after all, baby. I can easily kill like this. So whereas Krishna, whether he is a small baby or whatever form he appears, he is always Krishna. Right? So Krishna immediately sucked the very life air of this demon when she wanted to kill Krishna. So whereas Krishna, Prabhupada very nicely explains in a particular instance, even the least qualification of a person with regard to do some service to Krishna, Krishna recognizes that and he awards the highest reward. She came with a purpose. Her intention was to kill Krishna, but with what intention? Like a mother, nurse, dhatri. Right? She came with that intention, but that mood of becoming a dhatri was something, a service mood. Krishna felt, I have taken this much service from this person. So Krishna saw this small qualification, little qualification in her, and gave the highest reward of what? Elevating Putana to the mother of Krishna. Like Yashoda's level, she was elevated, given liberation. Just see, in our case, somebody wants to come and harm us, we express our hatred. We are boiling with anger. Our hatred is going on whole life. Right? Whereas with regard to Krishna, he has no hatred. He has no attraction. He is only seeing Putana as a spirit soul. And she has come to do some service to me. Right? And he rewarded her with the highest award. Yes, see. So what Prabhupada also did. He went to the Western countries, the hippies were all, so downfallen. With them, whatever Krishna Prabhupada was not fault finding, he was seeing the good sincerity in them. He told, you have one good quality in you, sincerity. Whatever I am training, you are following. And also you are having one more good quality of detachment, detached from your house, everything. You are roaming you are roaming freely. So that way, there's a good quality in you. So you chant Hare Krishna. No hatred, no attraction. Right? This Prabhupada's one more wonderful quality. So like this, they are nirdosham hi samam brahma. So they are all situated in Brahman level. Such a personality, Prabhupada says, is a self-realized, liberated soul, and their symptoms are further explained in the coming verses. The verses to follow. So this is what Prabhupada is explaining here, and we'll see the explanation of further verses in the next session. Okay, so today we discussed the interrelation of the Jivatma, Prakriti, and Super Soul. How Super Soul is a sanction giver, of course, but it depends on the living entity's desire. So in one sense, even though Lord sanctions, the responsibility is on the living entity. So the living entity has to desire to serve Krishna as spirit soul. Right now it is desiring materially and identifying itself with the material body. As long as it goes on, the super soul also is facilitating to material nature, and that's how this whole entanglement of this body and this karma and all is going on. So Krishna says, once you have awakened to this knowledge that I am spirit soul, and Prabhupada says that As long as the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness is going on, this is the cause of his bewilderment. Immemorial desire, which means from ages, from many, many lifetimes, it is going on to avoid Krishna consciousness. That is the cause of bewilderment. Although constitutionally he is Sachidananda, but due to forgetfulness of his constitutional position as Sachidananda, he has been trapped like this. Right? So as soon as he awakens to real knowledge and your bewilderment is gone, what happens? Krishna explained that the knowledge will awaken, rise like the sun rays, glowing like anything, and this is going to actually give you relief from all the anarthas, unwanted things in our heart, and this is making your path clear for self-realization. Right? When this platform you have reached, then your perception will be to see things on the spiritual platform of seeing everyone and everything equally, that you are all spirit souls, actually part and parcel of Krishna. And super soul also is accompanying us, and that super soul is always superior. This wonderful realizations will come upon us. The benefit of this is that you will be already are liberated in one sense. And once this body is span of life is over, you will go back to spiritual world. Krishna explains, and such a person's his way of actions are all faultless. They are always faultless. They are flawless. I want to narrate one nice pastime of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada went to America in the early days, in the early days, 1966, 67, Prabhupada used to send some letters to India. Communication, that's how Prabhupada used to communicate. Now it's all WhatsApp and emails. Earlier it was, inland letters or postcards, right? Mails. So, postal mails. So one day it so happened that Prabhupada had written a letter to somebody in India, and that envelope, Prabhupada purposely, while you close the envelope, purposely he had kept maybe half an inch opening. He had not fully closed it. So that devotee, very new disciple, he brought to Prabhupada that letter. Prabhupada, I think you have forgotten to properly stick or cover this envelope nicely. Prabhupada said, no, it is okay, you take it. That's how it is, you take it. And this devotee was arguing, went on arguing. No, Prabhupada is, somebody opens and sees, your letter will be misplaced. I said, I know whatever I do, I'm doing, I am perfectly doing it. You just take it and post it. So later on, Prabhupada explained to a few disciples. See, what happens in India, when letter comes from foreign, especially, Indian post office, first of all, postmaster and everybody there, they think some money has come. Okay. So invariably, they would like to open the cover and want to see. It's coming from foreign now. Something valuable will be there. So if you keep a small opening, they will realize there's no money, only letter. So they will not, misuse it, or rather they will not damage it. So the devotees remember how Prabhupada was so perfect in every action. Right? So Westerners will not be able to realize all these things. But Prabhupada was very perfect in every action. So this is one example of how Prabhupada was flawless. Right? Pure devotees are flawless in every action. Oh, that didn't happen. Everything has happened, but you don't have vision to see. Just like people with, Prabhupada says, people who are like owls. Owl, they can't see, they don't see light at all. You only see darkness. So for them, everything will be faulty. Whereas pure devotees, Lord Krishna's arrangement is perfect. Whatever they do, whatever they say is perfect. That's the point. They don't say, oh, I did a mistake. No. They're always perfect in every action. That's the point. They're flawless. That's why they their whole actions are so wonderful. Hearing about them, remembering them is all going to purify us. Okay. Any questions? Any clarifications before we close?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In keeping with the title of this chapter, Karma Yoga, Action and Krishna Consciousness, I think the chapters we just discussed, they were all pertaining to a pure devotee, pure soul like Prabhupada. So these are meant, Prabhuji, for us to get inspiration, right, for our lives, though we cannot reach this stage as conditioned souls.
No, not like that. We're supposed to, come to this level by practice. Of course, inspiration is the first thing. Next is practice, right? When you hear, when you see a successful person in the outside world also, you get inspired. Inspiration should motivate you, Inspiration should not remain as a as only one concept in your mind, right? It should motivate you. Motivation means action. So right now we're acting in a particular way. So we have to rather bring our actions in line with the way Krishna is telling us in Bhagavad, in this chapter. Yes, we have examples. Not that, this is not simply philosophy. That's what I want to say. I gave example of Prabhupada and pure devotees. Why? Because there are examples, demonstrations of these qualities already. Not that this, you should not take that Bhagavad Gita is simply a philosophy. Just to, intellectually satisfy yourself. This is what it means, good life. But practically nothing. It's like Prabhupada always says, Rama Rajya, people want without Rama. How it is possible? I was hearing in one lecture Prabhupada is telling so nicely. It's like, people want happiness, people want peace, everything. But all this is very easily possible. It's like Prabhupada was telling in one context. Unless you worship Govinda, you have respect for Brahmanas and cows, you will not have peace. You will not have happiness. People are not having respect for Brahmanas, people have not have respect for cows, and of course, worship of Krishna is far away. How they can have peace? Right? That is the whole point. So the thing is, to practically apply, this one is Jnana, one more is Vijnana. Vijnana means practically apply in our life. So we should also not have this understanding, oh, I am here in one corner of this whole creation, Krishna is somewhere far away. How will my chanting reach him? Whether he will hear me? No, Krishna is also very close to you. Sitting right with you in your heart as Paramatma. This is what we understood in 13th chapter. Very clearly Krishna explained these aspects as Paramatma, how he is very close to you. Every living entity is close. He is so close that nobody is as close as Paramatma. Right? That close he is. Bahirantascha bhutanam acharam charam evacha sukshmatat avigneyam durastam chantikye chatat. See, Krishna says, he is very, very far away, is nearest to all, is near to all. He is there with us. That is Krishna. So, first thing is, yes, we were unaware of or we were ignorant of this knowledge. Now, by Prabhupada's mercy, through some means, I am becoming aware of this knowledge. That is the first step. When you become aware of this knowledge, next step should be how to see that this knowledge will become part of my thinking, feeling, and acting. This is called sadhana. The whole process of sadhana is what? How to internalize it and make it part of your psychic system. Right? We have been conditioned in a particular way to think, feel, and act. Right? So let this type of understanding, or rather this knowledge, this real understanding, should become part of our thinking, feeling, and acting. So it's an endeavor which we should do lifelong. Go on doing, go on improving. There's a unlimited scope to improve our thinking, feeling, and acting. And also, we should also understand that whatever level we have done, I told you, a little endeavor, little qualification, your little qualification, Krishna will give the highest reward. That's Krishna's assurance. But our endeavor should be, rather our action should be in this direction. At least we have started the journey. We were not even come to the railway station.
Yeah.
We were going here and there. We have come to the railway station, and almost we have started chanting. Means we have boarded a train. A train may be going slow, doesn't matter. But we're in the train, right? Eventually we'll reach. Provided you sit in the train. Don't hop off.
Yeah.
Something very interesting. Let me go and see. No, train is going slow. Let me hop off. No, you stay in the train and go on. Prabhupada will help us. That's the point. So this is the hope and assurance we get from Prabhupada, that you just hold on to the process whole life. Whatever, unless we don't know how much life we have, right? Until whatever we have our lifespan, we just go on doing this seriously, sincerely. Results left to Krishna, right? What will happen? Lord decides, right? And see, again, going back to the spiritual world, we should also have a proper understanding of that. It doesn't mean we have to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Wherever Krishna and devotees are, that is Golok Vrindavan, right? So Krishna will transfer you to a place where there are only devotees. That is also Vrindavan, right? And Krishna also appears every day of Brahma in different universes. There you will be transferred. It is also as good as Vrindavan. So it is Krishna's world only. So like this, we have to, wherever Krishna keeps, I am happy. But as long as Krishna keeps my consciousness intact with regard to his service, that's all. So what Parikshit prayed at the end of his life, all the sages assembled there when he was about to leave the body. Please bless me that I can have my Krishna consciousness intact. Always.
Yes.
That's why whenever somebody is paying obeisances to devotees, we say Krishna Mati Rastu. Let your Krishna Mati, or consciousness of Krishna, be always intact. That's the only thing you can ask for as a blessing from Krishna and devotees. Okay? Shilaji?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Any other question? Any other clarification or comment? Fine. So we'll close here now. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.